Oh, come on in, everybody. Clint Bowyer is back in victory lane, and it's time for us, your Monday morning quarterbacks, to get it started. My name is Bo Estes. This right here is Michael Bell, and he's got a full cup of coffee in it.
Yeah, buddy, who needs 5-hour energy like Clint's car there? We'll talk about the three biggest racing stories from Charlotte as the chase is getting very interesting, and your comments right there on the bottom of the screen. We're interactive.
Yeah, we are interactive and stuff. Hey, let's get right to your green flag topic. Dale Earnhardt Jr., 2 concussions pretty quick back-to-back together. He's sitting out 2 races. Charlotte was the first one. He's sitting out the next one as well. Do you think he should sit out the rest of the season?
Well, I mean, when you talk about how the other leagues in professional sports are handling concussions, the NFL now has a protocol where you've got to go through a series of tests before you can play in the following week after a concussion. I mean, what's in it for Dale Jr. at this point? Obviously, the sponsors want him inside the car. I think fans will be very disappointed to show up his last remaining races and Jr.'s not there. But it's really up to him. He knows his body. He knows where he's at. He hadn't been feeling right. He actually had a prior concussion before Talladega. Yep. So, you know, in the big picture, why not sit out? There's no way you can win this championship unless all the cars in front of you don't start the race. I mean, it really is up to Junior, although certainly a lot of people would be disappointed. They would understand, just knowing more about concussions like we do know now, that it's probably a good idea for him not to be in the car.
Concussions are a mess. It's something to take very seriously. I think more important than anything else is Junior should do what's best for Junior. But Mike hit on 2 things. Sponsors. Sponsors are going to want him in that car. But the championship, it's out the window. It's gone. So I don't know what he races for anymore. There's not much to it. Moving along, Michael Waltrip Racing has benefited from a guy named Clint Bowyer. This our white flag topic. Mike Bell, let me ask you this. Is Clint Bowyer the biggest reason for the ascension of Michael Waltrip Racing? Feel free to answer as Mike Bell or Michael Waltrip. I don't care.
I'll tell you something. I love that pink car. It's just dialed in. We got the fuel mileage, and Clint Bowyer is the man behind the wheel.
No, I mean, they got the good drivers. Martin Truex Jr. and Clint Bowyer coming over to this team in such a relatively short period of time. I think other than maybe DEI, when they got things started, we're so competitive early on. You've got to be blown away by the Toyota packages. Kyle Busch bellyaches about his. They've got no problem with the mileage in their Toyotas. And Clint Bowyer is the guy behind the wheel, getting the job done, especially when you think they're going to Kansas, technically his home track next week. You're really like Michael Waltrip's now, guys, planting their flag in this race for the chase.
Yeah, a couple of guys in the chase. Clint Bowyer, obviously, 3 of their 5 wins all time. One thing that this makes me really think of, though, is what about RCR? We don't even talk about them anymore, and they let this guy go. I know they couldn't find sponsorship for him, but they should have moved heaven and earth to keep him around.
With all due respect to Paul Menard, I would have said, Paul, you and your dad go put something together, and we'll give you motors, and we'll give you some help. But we've got to keep Clint Bowyer in the RCR umbrella, and they didn't do that, and they let a guy go that could maybe win the championship this year.
Yeah, he certainly could win the championship. He's moved himself back up into that group that could, but it's still all about those top 3 as we move to our checkered finish. Mike Bell, I ask you, we are at the halfway point now. Is it Denny Hamlin? He's in 3rd. Is it Jimmy Johnson? He's less than 10 back of Brad Keselowski. Or is it your leader, Brad Keselowski? Who are you going to pick? We're halfway through.
Now, Kes's team, they tried to roll the dice with the fuel mileage. They came a little short on the go-go juice late in the race at Charlotte. Jimmy Johnson picked up some points. Don't you just get the feeling, guys, we like to be cute and say, yeah, Keselowski or Hamlin can do it. But when you look at the remaining tracks, just like all 10 in this chase, they set up so well for the team of Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson. I'm going to stick to my guns. I said Keselowski early. I'm going to roll the dice with the guy in the blue deuce.
I think you were trying to submarine my pick, saying that we like to be cute and pick somebody else besides Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson.
Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. I mean, you look at the tracks where they went last year. Jimmy Johnson gets upset by Tony Stewart. But Keselowski and Hamlin, you see the tracks they're going to. They've had some success there. So maybe, just maybe, we can see 2 years in a row without a guy named Johnson holding that trophy.
I still think it's Jimmy Johnson. I think, like you said, five races to go. Great tracks for Jimmy Johnson. He's less than 10 points back of Brad Keselowski. But one thing I think, if I were picking, I would go Jimmy Johnson first, Denny Hamlin second, and Brad Keselowski. I think Denny Hamlin still has a bitter taste in his mouth from what happened to him 2 years ago, and I think he could make a run at this thing.
Well, the good news is it is a tight race, just what NASCAR was hoping for these last few remaining races.
Yeah, it's terrific stuff. Hey, let's move on to, it's time to put a bow on it, right here. Hey, Jason Sholin, get that graphic right there. I tell everybody, something historic happened this weekend. Dale Earnhardt Jr., as you know, wasn't in the race. It snaps a big streak for him. But more importantly, we have to go all the way back to 1979. That's right, 1979 since an Earnhardt was not in a Sprint Cup race. It's unbelievable to me that these guys had such a long streak, and it's something to be, well regarded and embraced.
Well, for the closing bell, I want to talk about the Goose syndrome. Remember Goose in Top Gun?
Yes.
Really good guy. You see in the movie, you're saying, well, what a sweet guy. I got the family. you know nothing good's going to happen to Goose. He's the one that hits his head on the canopy. In the end, they got to replace the backseat guy in the F-14. That is Regan Smith. This poor guy has got so much talent, but he always gets hosed. Remember DEI? They don't have any room for him. They don't have no sponsorship. He winds up cobbling something together with the Denver Mattress Furniture Road team.
Yeah.
And then he should have won Talladega a couple of years ago. No, below the line. Tony Stewart wins it. Now he loses the ride to freaking Kurt Busch. He gets Earnhardt's car, and Junior's car is rolling great, and then kablooey because they probably had some experimental engines set up. Poor Regan Smith. If this guy owned a funeral parlor, nobody would die.
We've got to build on this next week. We've got Jimmy Johnson as Iceman, and now Regan Smith as Goose.
He's Goose. It's the Goose syndrome. I feel bad for Regan. Good guy, had a good car, but it done blowed up.
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. It's been a great show. His name's Mike Bell. My name's Bo Estes. We thank each and every one of you for watching Green, White, Checkered Finish.